So my name is Vlad. I am a developer relations engineer at Google Cloud. My experience in the past was very different from like low-level software engineering, like to AI through game development. So that was quite the journey. But recently, I was looking into data analytics and what some people here at Google call decision intelligence. Like how do we use these large models, whether language models or vision language models, to help people make decisions. And obviously, because I'm a geek, I want to kind of go deep, especially with all these new agentic frameworks, such as Agent Development Kit. And I was always a big fan of Gemini, and especially the large context capabilities. So naturally, I went there and said, like, yeah, like data analytics and business intelligence are very conservative sort of like communities, because there is a lot to know when you're trying to convert your business question into something like a BI chart. But we can try. We can, like, it's always good to have a first pass. That was the motivation behind the project. So what happened next? We basically want to answer this question, like, and show you how you can use Gemini alone context and agentic workflows, which is very important, to interpret and answer business questions using SQL code and BI chart. The root of the motivation and in terms of like what is the problem that we're trying to solve was on the right side of this slide with the Gemini logo in the corner. Because we outlined our view, like very opinionated view of major problems of business intelligence. And we said, first is data quality. This is something that is very hard to solve. It's a huge problem when you want to do data analytics. And there are ways to solve this problem with machine learning or AI, or whatever you call it, different kinds of models, not necessarily language models. There are ways, right? We're not solving this problem with our exercise. Other two are data governance, compliance, performance, and scalability. It's also hard problems. There are products that solve these problems well. Google Cloud, like BigQuery, Suite, just this whole family of products, they really solve this problem. And in terms of performance and scalability, actually, and governance too, we rely on BigQuery big time. But there are three more. It's skills and expertise gaps, user adoption, and just the complexity of data modeling for some of the data sources. Think about your CRMs, your ERPs, with all the customizations that they have. You need a team to actually properly answer business questions. And that team is often expensive. It's spread very thin, and it includes many roles. So what we tell, like, how can we make this team more powerful and just being able to iterate faster? And like, obviously, as we're not building a product, we are building like a path for you to follow and solve it your way, right? So this is not a product, something that we're going to show and talk about, but we discovered a lot of insights in how you would build such a solution, and I'm eager to share. If we look at the problem from a different view, imagine our decision intelligence team as a team of superheroes, right? And we have decision makers, the ultimate customer in this picture, and they're very well versed in business, but not very much into data engineering. They sometimes don't even know like what data they use. Nowadays they do, but in the past they may not. Then you have business analyst, which is kind of close to business, also knows the data. Oh, we're using CRM. The CRM is, let's say, Salesforce. And this is what we normally do in Salesforce. There's the objects that we have, but they're not really going into like making queries. We have data analyst who is closer to data, knows some business, usually may have like a business background, which is also true for data engineer nowadays. So, and then yes, we go to data engineers. They know the data model, but like making business decisions, unless they're very experienced, it's not really their avenue. I knew some data engineers who also had MBA degrees and kind of business experience, but those are exceptions. And those are unicorns. Like, how can we make a unicorn that is actually well, or relatively well versed in business, at least can speak business language and knows your data really well? And the answer is like, yeah, try to solve this problem, how Gen AI can actually help. Well, let's look at the traditional approach first. And it's actually, I stopped calling it traditional because with the rise of Agentic RAG, Agentic RAG became like slowly becoming traditional, but really in our industry, there's no tradition because everything changes every 2 weeks. And lately, actually, every week, we have a new frontier model. So the old approach was, and it's historically called NL to SQL, natural language to SQL code. They took database schema with as many descriptions as they possibly can, usually just SQL, like just SDL or DDL, sorry, the data definition language, like how tables are created. And then they try to identify relevant tables whenever they receive a natural language query. And then after they identified and sort of like narrowed down what tables they need, they generate SQL. The biggest problems they have is first, for models that are smaller in size in the past, like, a few months, not a few months ago, maybe think about a year ago, data schema sometimes was too large. If you actually do the right thing and you annotated your database schema well, like every field, how it joins, like with what tables, if you have dimensions, you have like known values and dimensions, you annotate known values and everything. We're going to talk about it later. Your database schema sometimes is too huge. So identifying relevant tables, especially with extensive descriptions, becomes kind of problematic. And then in the past, especially, the code generation capabilities of any of the language models, they were not that great. And now, especially in the agentic setup, agents performing really well. Like if you can explain the problem to your SQL generation agent, they will do a really great job. But ultimately, what we understood also, just by talking to customers and talking to people who work at Google and they run business, but they're not data engineers, they're not business analysts necessarily. Real business questions are not like English language versions of SQL. There's a lot to interpret. So the interpretation of the question is crucial. I'll give you an example. We say top 5 customers by value in Europe this year. And imagine that you have Salesforce data. So you want to answer this question using your CRM data that was replicated from Salesforce. So where do we store customers? It's easy. There's table accounts that usually annotated as customers. Yeah, we find it. Then what does value mean? How do we calculate customer value? Actually, every company calculates customer lifetime value differently. Like there are multiple formulas, and you may adopt a different way to do it. Then Europe, like how do we store customers? Like what is the indication of customer's country? And how is it stored? Is it like ISO name, like US or UK, or it's a full name, United Kingdom, United States, or it's USA? Like in case of Europe, USA doesn't really participate, but you get the idea. And then if we compare customers across many countries with different currencies, in order to be able to aggregate and compare, you have to convert every single amount, every single monetary value to a single currency. Otherwise, you will be comparing different currencies. Like you may end up comparing Japanese yenas and US dollars. Like that is not going to work. What we did is we say, okay, let's share all knowledge from a perspective of how we run business and how we store data. Let's take that knowledge, share it with Gemini, because Gemini has, a very large context window, and see how Gemini can perform on its core capabilities, which is one is enhanced reasoning, very important. And second one, its ability to learn from the context. What I refer to is, if you look at the original Gemini, I think it was 1.5 paper, which historically back then had even larger context than 2.5 today. It was 2 million token context. And they said, Gemini can learn from the context, from the knowledge that we give it, and then find it or retrieve those pieces reliably. And the examples that they gave, the first was that the Gemini was giving a book as part of its context, as part of the request, and they drew a sketch, like an image of a scene of that book, and you see the sketch is very rough. And they said, find the scene in the book, and Gemini found the scene, which is amazing. Second thing, the in-context learning goes beyond retrieval, because for things like simple languages, we have different languages in the world. Some of them are relatively simple. Gemini was able to learn the language just from the book about the language. Essentially, it's like it read the book and learned from the book, and Gemini was able to start sort of speaking that language just by learning from the context, and not performing full-blown training. So we said oh, why don't we use these capabilities and see if it works? So I want to show you this thing in action, and you will kind of see how it works. Because one kind of disclaimer before I do it, because every request, it's actually a very long time. It's like 2, 3, sometimes 5, up to 7 minutes. It takes time to answer. They analyze, they perform, I would say, a lot of reasoning, a lot of thinking, and it's not fast, and it's large context. This is why I will be showing you the finished results, and then we can, if we have time at the end, we can ask it a question for real and see how it works. So I'll be switching to another tab here, present something else. Let me see what I want to present. Let's present this one. I don't even know what this tab is. And I asked the question, top 10 customers in every country. Perfect. Now I switch to that tab. So the question that I asked the agent, oh, by the way, this is the UI, if you care. The question I asked the agent, and hopefully you see, okay, do I see what, do you see the UI? Can you show me a thumbs up? Okay, perfect. Because I'm seeing different things, and it's okay. Let's remove the distractors. So I have this UI that is built, by the way, using Streamlit. So the sample that I'm going to share with you, and you see the URL on the screen, and there will be a QR code, so don't worry about that. This sample is open source. You're welcome to contribute, welcome to use it. It also includes sample data, which is very helpful. So you can try different things with that data. Although the data is very old and not very good, because it wasn't synthetically generated. It was replicated from a real Salesforce instance, but it was generated manually by people, out of the blue. There was no system, and I would say you may notice that the data is inconsistent, and Gemini actually notices it itself and often recommends the data audit. which is funny, depending on what question you ask. It may support like, oh, this is not okay. Like, go and check your data, something's wrong. So the question that I ask here is top 10 customers in every country, and then for fun, I actually say make it a bar chart with filtering by country. So you can both ask questions. Actually, ask it how you want the I would say it's not the answer. You ask the business question, and then you say, to justify your answer, this is how I want it to be presented. So the chart itself, or anything that you see from a visual point of view, it's not the answer. It's the way for you to see what the agent's answer is based on. And yeah, we will see. So basically, I say that's how I want it to be, and we will go through different sub-agents that we have here. So first is CRM Business Analyst. CRM Business Analyst sub-agent is described with a role-based prompt. That agent is told that you are a CRM Business Analyst agent. I will show the prompt. And ultimately, the request that goes here, it's something that the root agent, one that controls this whole flow, because we're using supervisor pattern. It sends this kind of question. Now, the business analyst starts with interpreting the question, and it creates multiple interpretations. And then it says, I think I like the interpretation A better, right? Highest revenue contribution in this case, like, oh, we're going to rank customers based on how much money they gave us, right, for our service or product. Then what do we want to see? Like the primary KPIs, total customer revenue, and alternative metrics were average deal size, that we decided to go to the revenue. And then calculation options, it just outlines like how we can do it based on kinds of entities that we store. It doesn't necessarily review to specific tables. As you can see, it refers to customers as conceptual customer table. In fact, in our case, customer table is accounts, right? And then it recommends like how do we extract data, and what are the instructions we send to data engineer, who is our next agent. And the data engineer is given this instructions, right? So it's like, oh, that was the original question, and this is how we think it can be done. And data engineer creates the query. It's a SQL query. And you can also notice that the query is kind of not very simple. And one of the complexities that data engineer adds is using data conversion rate table, because we operate with different currencies. We have to convert the currency. And this is also very important because this is what like a junior data engineer immediately misses. Like, oh, we forgot about currencies. And first thing that they have is usually without the currency conversion, because no one remembers. Data engineer outputs the query, and finally we need to generate the chart. So BI engineer gets a task. What are the top 10 customers bringing to each country? This is the question. This is the SQL, the file name in the asset store of Agent Development Kit to use for running and supplying to the chart, and then the original question. Now it thinks and it presents this, and as you can see, it's a bar chart. By default, it's not done by country because you have this drop down, which is also generated by agent's code, and you can filter it by country and see it like this. And this is a Vega-like chart that we can present in Streamlit. So we kind of can generate these interactive charts. And then the agent goes into analysis. It says that it's pretty confident about the answer. It analyzes like regional performance review, it gets some detailed findings about what it saw, and it actually not only looks at the data, because sometimes just a number of rows is too big. We may have like hundreds of thousands, even more rows in the answer, especially when we perform filtering by, like, let's say sales representative in terms of like their performance. And this is when Gemini is given the chart itself, like basically the image to look at and try to perform the analysis, and only given like first 50 rows of the answer. That's a different situation. So that's how this agent works in general. And let me show you a few slides again about the architecture. I switch here. And so the three key components that these agents has, it's actually not the code, is data model annotations, and then which should have training and evaluation, although we don't provide it in the open source. And that's something that when you build your agents, tuning and evaluation, tuning, when I say tuning, it's actually like a set of examples to give to agents. You need to build it. But let's start. Like, first, you need a good data model. For our exercise, we used Salesforce. We used Salesforce metadata. Salesforce provides great metadata and type information about every field they have. And that is a huge part of the success, because we don't have to do it manually. If you have your own app, that's the investment that you need to make to really enable AI for your data analytics and business intelligence, decision intelligence. Because a language model doesn't know what it doesn't know. No matter how smart it is, there is knowledge that only people have and only people can interpret. So you have to kind of give the agent this knowledge, right? Second, annotation, which is part of it. You have to annotate every table, every field. You have to identify how you calculate your key performance indicators, how, for example, how you calculate customer lifetime value, give it company facts. This is your greatest IP. And then a set of basically test questions and set of evaluation data that you need to have to test your agents. This is very important. The agent is comprised of multiple sub-agents and tools, like I demonstrated. It also, if you look at the code, it also uses a lot of agent development kit features, and it's deployed entirely in Cloud Run. It's not running in the agent engine, and it uses BigQuery as its data warehouse. So it and the data to that data warehouse, it was actually replicated originally using BigQuery data transfer tool. That's what we used, and the BigQuery data transfer connectors for Salesforce, they're first-party connectors, and we use that to transfer data from Salesforce. And as I said, and I demonstrated, we give the original question to business analyst, then data engineer performs the SQL generation, BI engineer performs chart generation, and then our original orchestration and reasoning agent, one that controls everything, basically performs performs kind of analysis and reasoning about the results, and then tries to answer the question. Now, we have a lot of tools such as SQL Validator, Vega Lite Validator. They're all based on discovering errors in the generated code and trying to fix it. Dimension filter extractor basically makes sure that we identify dimension to filter on. Like if we need multiple filters, we can do that too. And then visual chart evaluator is just a Gemini request. When we give it a picture of our chart and we say, does this chart actually look good to you, right? Is it a good chart to answer this question? Like, just analyze the visual. And visual chart evaluator does this analysis. And if it says like, nah, it's not good enough, like, we try to generate something else. But BI engineer, it's the longest by far in terms of runtime. You can try this yourself locally or by deploying to Cloud Run. This is the first link. Please contribute if you want, if you find interesting use cases, or like share your feedback. Then if you will see a lot of agent development Kit code in there. I use it extensively. Please go and read the ADK docs. That was like the agent was made at the very beginning of ADK. So ADK progressed since then a lot, and it's really great framework. I enjoy using it. When you just start experimenting with your prompts, try AI Studio, really powerful. You use Gemini for free with a lot of tools around it, such as Google Search. Really powerful. And then you can go also to Vertex AI, and this is where you start using Gemini seriously with the cloud APIs. And then whenever you do data analytics, BigQuery, I mean, for me, it's the most favorite product. It's like it's despite me being an AI person, I love BigQuery so much for the way it scales in a serverless manner. This is a very important slide. If you like something or don't like something about this presentation, please use the survey. And then if you want to start with Vertex AI and really experience the whole power of a cloud, because everything around Vertex AI is the whole Google Cloud, and go and try with this free trial. I will be looking at questions now and try to answer a few of them. And I will keep this screen if you want to. How much time do we have? Can you update me on that?
Yes, we have about 25 minutes.
25 minutes. Oh, great. I can answer a lot of questions. I'll try.
Yes.
And if I cannot answer the question, I'll just skip it. Sorry. Sometimes I just don't want to waste your time.
The first question starts at 9:29.
9:29. Oh, perfect. Is the demo publicly available? Yes. Okay, let me do it once again. This is the link. Is there a workshop for using the agents with Google? We have a ton of events, and we have more coming. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say anything specific. So yeah, if you don't know about events around just like Google, this is one of the events. And yes, we have in-person events. We have events where you develop agents, and we provide expertise and cloud resources. So yeah, it's there's a lot, to be honest. Can you ask questions again? Yeah. So let's see. What about guardrails around PII DDoS? That is a very, very valid question. It's great. This is something that, yes, you have to develop, and there are different kinds of guardrails. Only your company can actually understand fully what guardrails they want to have. Just like with any other data warehouse, there are traditional ways of presenting and controlling the data access, right? BigQuery has actually access control on a per column and per row basis if you can implement it and make it work with the agents. But otherwise, yes, you need to really govern your agents as well, and it's just part of the journey, right? And then for protecting your agents effectively or protecting your data, you really need to use tools like Model Armor, right? You want to make sure that they don't do, like, they will not end up doing SQL ingestion. First, you need to make sure that whatever account accesses data warehouse, they're just not giving permission to write, right, or execute anything hostile. So read-only access. But yes, you need to also analyze what's really coming in, and Model Armor is one of those tools. Okay, I will continue. I feel like missed the wave when it comes to getting started with AI. So far, I only use GPT through prompting. For those who just getting started, I think the best way is to, I personally, that's my preferred, go to aistudio.google.com. This is a tool which is not just like your traditional Gemini where you prompt things, but it also gives you like some internals of what the models do. And most importantly, it gives you source code equivalents. Like you prompted a few things, you added images, like you did a conversation. You can get that conversation as Python source code right away in AI Studio. And this is how you get started. So that's really the best way. Try to do things. And then we have a lot of guides. I wish I actually had a link handy with me with the code labs. Like once you're more comfortable coding, you can look for generative AI code labs, and they provide really good guidance. Yes, aistudio.com for beginners. That's, I believe, is the thing. I recommend it to everyone. Model Armor is a tool against prompt injection. Yes. I don't see more questions. Is it? Oh yeah. Is it possible to fine-tune agents further to add more business logic? Absolutely yes. Not all models are fine-tunable. Like we recently introduced fine-tuning for Gemini Flash 2.5, but you can also have a separate open model, right? You can run an open model on Cloud Run on Vertex AI, and where, like, if you fine-tune, let's say Gemma 3 for analyzing your business logic with a lot of examples that you have, that may actually work as the first stage, the interpretation part, and then you will continue further with Gemini 2.5 Pro, right? So that is a possibility, and you can really mix and match when you have the cloud and not just the model API, right? Yeah, the bot protection. Yeah, I think that this is really the model armor. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a security expert, and I should know better. Shame on me. Like, all I know is, like, yeah, you have to take care of some things yourself. Governance is important, and then model armor is really the tool to get, like, to solve a lot of your headache that you pretty much need to solve in every single agent that exposed to more than like a few people, right? Yep. In the diagram, there is one agent, so 3 agents. It's a great question. It's 3 agents, right? This is 3 agents. The one is orchestration. That's like a root agent, right? That's the one that decides what to call. And since we have time, this pattern is it's a supervisor with dynamic calling strategy, where orchestration agent decides in which order and what to call. And since we have time, I'm going to show you what I mean. Is there something else? I think, yeah, this one, perfect. So I have this funny chart, because my question was lead conversion trends in the US. How do we convert leads to opportunities, and then eventually opportunities end up with a sale, right? I'm not gonna bother you with all the logic and everything, but it decided to show me like a bubble chart, which is funny, but also old. And it still went through this whole flow, which was CRM business analyst, then data engineer, then BI engineer. But then I say, you know what? I don't like this. I want that as a line chart. So I say make it line chart. Bubbles are not really that well. Let's see if the session might have died. So let's see. Oh yeah, it resumed. And you can actually see, and this is a demo, so that may be a different result that I expect. Oh yeah, it does what I expected. You see, it calls different way to present things. And it says like, oh, I just can go to BI engineer and say, you know what, your chart is wrong, do it differently. And BI engineer will work on the hopefully line chart. Let's see what it's being asked to. Oh yeah, we have this nodes parameter and it says make it a line chart. The nodes parameter is specifically added to add something and to tell something to BI engineer about like how this needs to be built if the root agent has this additional input. And in our case, yes, this is the additional input that we provided. Yeah, I let it think. Again, there's a lot happening behind the scenes, a lot of prompting, and I can tell you what it's doing right now. I can look at the logs, hopefully. Yeah, it's actually finished with the chart. Yeah, I only realized it by looking at the logs, and you probably saw it yourself. So yeah, now it's a line chart. We see it discovered that we can filter, or I would say aggregate by lead source, right? And it's a bit busy, but it's fine. We can, let's say, we can kind of clearly see that some of the lead sources are peaking more or less, again, because our data is not quite real. It doesn't look very real, given like the lead conversion is more or less between like 30 something to 45%, sometimes above. But we can see individual lead sources conversion over time. And some of them don't even have anything, right? Trade show, yeah, it works great. So that's how we can do it. And again, the pattern that we used really just makes it easy, and we don't have to go through all three agents every time. All right, I think I answered all questions, and we have 82 people at the moment. Great. Thank you so much for joining, and connect me on LinkedIn. Go, please try the repo, file bugs. We'll try to fix it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vlad, for your amazing talk. I hope everybody has enjoyed it and has saved all the important links. So guys, give your thumbs up that yes, you enjoyed it and have learned so much. So I will not take your much time, but yes, I would request you all to please fill the feedback form. Let me share it.
Some people say the repo is 404. Let me post the link again. This is the repo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, we do host offline events. So as I told you in a beginning that we have local chapters. So you can join, like you can attend the event according to your chapter. You can check all the location details on our website, aicam.ai. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Yeah. Oh, Aziza have shared the link. So
Yes, thank
please
you so
do
much for
share us feedback. Yeah. Thank you, Aziza, for sharing the updated one.
and thank you everybody for joining today. You can always go back and review the recording. And as Bill shared, we do have a 5-part agent series that you can find on the AI Camp website. And we would love for you to join that. We have session 3 or episode 3 coming up in 2 weeks. So we hope to see you there. And thank you again for joining this morning. Evening.
Yes. All right, guys. So we have shared all the important links. Let me share it again, and then we are good to go. We are good to end this. So Vlad LinkedIn profile you can find on our event page. Let me share it here too. All right, guys. Thank you for joining. Have a great day. Bye bye. Bye, Aziza. Thank you for your support.
Bye, Nisha. See you next time.